What if one night, without warning, your entire wrestling company was shut down by Vince McMahon himself? That's exactly what happened to Deep South Wrestling. Vince didn't show up in person, but he sent his top enforcer, John Laurinaitis, otherwise known as Johnny Ace, and a team with moving trucks to erase the promotion overnight. In 2007, this WWE developmental territory, Deep South Wrestling, where future stars were being built, was quietly destroyed in a single night. And not even the man who built it, Jody Hamilton, the assassin, saw it coming. Why did WWE shut down Deep South Wrestling with zero warning? The assassin, Jody Hamilton, was a respected veteran of the wrestling business. After retiring from the ring, his mission became training the next generation. He launched Deep South Wrestling back in 1986 as a feeder for Vern Gagne's AWA, but it shut down by 1988. Hamilton later became the head of WCW's Power Plant, one of the most intense and infamous training systems of the 90s. John Laurinaitis and Jody Hamilton had been friends in WCW when John Laurinaitis, who booked for the dying days of World Championship Wrestling after Vince Russo, and now had become a WWE executive. In 2005, Hamilton convinced Johnny Ace to get in Vince McMahon's ear about restarting Deep South Wrestling as a new WWE developmental territory. Vince agreed, and Deep South Wrestling opened its doors in McDonough, Georgia. Hamilton overseeing operations, Bill DeMott was brought in as the head trainer, booker, and doing color commentary on the DSW TV show. Over the next few years, a who's who of future WWE stars passed through Deep South. The Miz, Kenny Omega, Zack Ryder, Luke Gallows, MVP, and many more. One of the main early issues with Deep South Wrestling was Bill DeMott. Kenny Omega lasted a few months before asking for his release, citing toxic treatment by DeMott and Hamilton. What if WWE's developmental system was built on intimidation, fear, and silence? That's what some wrestlers said about Bill DeMott's Deep South. After transitioning to a WWE trainer role, reports started coming in about Bill DeMott's unprofessional, unacceptable training methods. Kenny Omega said Bill DeMott certainly took advantage of his power, and DeMott tried to train things he wasn't qualified for doing. And then there was the jelly donut incident. According to Devin Nicholson, otherwise known as Hannibal, who also has a YouTube channel with loads of great content, he says that Zack Ryder and Melissa Coates agreed to do this so everyone could get out of training for the day. Melissa Coates was later the manager and life partner of Sabu until she passed away in 2021. Hannibal tells the story to get out of the day of training, two of the wrestlers would need to receive a stink face from Luke Gallows, who was completely naked, while the participants held a jelly donut up to their face, while again Gallows would run hitting the stink face and squirting the donut's contents on the wrestlers' faces. There is photographic evidence that this did take place at the stories that are online. Imagine being Melissa Coates in this situation and feeling the pressure to do this by your fellow trainees so everyone can benefit from this stunt. This was the type of toxic locker room culture DeMott encouraged. Bill DeMott was eventually fired and replaced by Dr. Tom Pritchard. What went so wrong inside the walls of Deep South Wrestling that it made WWE want to burn it to the ground? Dr. Tom Pritchard was a more respected trainer with a different approach, but Hamilton still reportedly ran Deep South like the Power Plant, old school, brutal, and out of sync of what WWE wanted. Vince wanted structure, consistency, and control. The WWE would send down officials, sometimes with John Laurinaitis, to watch the sessions and take notes. Nick Patrick, the son of Jody Hamilton, and at the time WWE SmackDown referee, says when these WWE officials would come to the training sessions and seen something they didn't like, they would pull Jody Hamilton aside and tell him what they did want and for him to correct it. WWE officials would come in and say Vince is livid. Problem is, Jody would only listen to the advice of these folks while they were in town. When they went back to Stamford, Jody would go back to his style of training. Deep South Wrestling had a weekly TV show and ran shows at the Six Flags amusement park in Austell, Georgia, until one night on April 18th, 2007. The wrestlers had already trained for the day, but was informed by Deep South talent development manager Mike Bucci, otherwise known as Nova in ECW or Simon Dean later on in WWE, that John Laurinaitis was headed to Georgia for an emergency meeting. Because Johnny Ace was coming, contracted WWE wrestlers needed to dress business casual for the meeting at the DSW training facility. That night inside the Deep South training facility, the wrestlers waited. Then Laurinaitis walked in. Tonight is the last night of Deep South. Pack up. Anyone caught here after this will be terminated. Laurinaitis also threatened any contracted talent that did not help, they would be terminated on the spot. Laurinaitis didn't give a reason to the workers, just instructions about the move. Laurinaitis then instructed the wrestlers to start tearing down around the ring and other WWE licensed items. Zack Ryder was the first wrestler to get up and rip down a large WWE banner. In dress shirts and khakis, they dismantled the very place they had trained in. Laurinaitis then approaches a completely shocked Jody Hamilton, who was stunned that he was not informed about this previously. He was completely blindsided. Laurinaitis was furious. Laurinaitis sees it as putting his neck out for his old friend with Vince McMahon and being screwed over by Hamilton. They left the assassin in an empty room while they all headed to Hooters. The moving truck was headed to Florida, where WWE had already made an agreement with Florida Championship Wrestling to move forward as their development territory. Later, Jody Hamilton sued WWE for breach of contract and not giving him a 90-day notice of the closure. WWE tried to get this dismissed but failed. WWE and Hamilton eventually settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Deep South Wrestling may have launched WWE stars, but in the end, it was just another piece of history Vince erased with a single phone call. If you enjoyed this video, check out the time that Mr. Perfect pranked Nails and Sheik Adnan Al-Kaisi in the AWA. You can find that video right here. And make sure you're subscribed and have the bell clicked for any future videos and live streams that I may be doing. Every Sunday night at 6 Eastern, I go live right here on this channel. I go live and watch old Memphis CWA from 1989.